The biblical account of the 10 plagues of Egypt is central to the Passover holiday, which commemorates the liberation of the Israelites from slavery in ancient Egypt. According to the book of Exodus, these plagues were a series of catastrophic events inflicted upon Egypt as divine retribution for the Pharaoh's refusal to release the Israelites from bondage. Though there is limited archaeological and historical evidence to support the biblical narrative of the plagues, the existence of Moses, or the mass exodus, some scientists suggest that a series of natural events could explain the seemingly supernatural disasters described in the Bible. A 2008 study published in the Yale Journal of Biology and Medicine noted that, from a historical perspective, the first 9 plagues resemble natural occurrences familiar in the Middle East, albeit with unusual patterns and rapid succession. What are the 10 plagues of Egypt? The 10 plagues of Egypt, as described in the book of Exodus, include, in order of their unleashing, water turning to blood, frogs, lice, flies, livestock pestilence, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and the killing of firstborn children. Epic drought could have caused plagues. An epic drought might have been a catalyst for the plagues of Egypt. Archaeological evidence suggests that the ancient Egyptian capital of Ramses was abruptly abandoned during the reign of Pharaoh Ramses II, who is often associated with the pharaoh mentioned in the book of Exodus. Studies of stalagmites in Egyptian caves indicate that this period coincided with a prolonged drought. This extended dry spell could have triggered a series of natural disasters, creating conditions that mirror the plagues described in the Bible. When the climate changes, it can set off a cascade of disruptions, leading to a domino effect of environmental catastrophes. Climatologists suggest that a severe drought disrupting the ecological balance of the Nile River delta could explain the first biblical plague, where Egypt's waterways turned to blood. The arid conditions would have created an ideal environment for burgundy blood algae to bloom in the Nile's slow, warm waters, turning the rivers a blood-red color and killing off fish populations. This algae bloom could have deprived the Nile of oxygen, setting off a chain of events resembling the next 5 plagues: frogs, lice, flies, livestock pestilence, and boils. Without oxygen or fish, frogs would have left the Nile, invaded homes, and died, leading to a proliferation of insects due to the lack of natural predators. A 1996 study suggested that the lice described in the Bible were likely culicoids, insects that feed on decomposing animals and can transmit deadly diseases to livestock. These insects might not have reached the Israelite land of Goshen, sparing the Hebrews from the effects. The tainted meat and flies could have spread glanders, a bacterial disease causing boils on humans and animals. The drought is also linked to the 8th plague of locusts. Overcrowded locusts, forced into the few remaining areas of vegetation by the drought, may have rapidly reproduced when the rains returned, creating swarms that devoured Egyptian crops. Historical examples show the devastating impact locust swarms can have, with a 1 square kilometer swarm consuming as much food in a day as 35,000 people. The volcanic eruption theory. Proponents of the drought theory suggest that the 7th and 9th plagues, fiery hailstorms and days of darkness, might be linked to a sandstorm. However, some scientists propose that these plagues were caused by a volcanic eruption on the Greek island of Santorini. Despite being over 500 miles away, pumice from Santorini has been found near Ramses, indicating the eruption's far-reaching effects. The eruption, one of history's most powerful, could have released billions of tons of volcanic ash, leading to violent thunderstorms, days of darkness, and wet, humid conditions ideal for locust reproduction. Additionally, volcanic ash containing acids like cinnabar might have turned the Nile River a toxic red, triggering a similar chain reaction as the drought theory suggests. Although the Santorini eruption is estimated to have occurred around 1620 BC, about 400 years before Ramses II's reign, the biblical account of the plagues, written centuries later and not intended as a historical record, may have combined multiple natural disasters that occurred over a long period. The final plague. The 10th and final plague in the book of Exodus is the death of Egyptian firstborn sons. One theory suggests that a locust-induced famine might have led the Egyptians to sacrifice their firstborn in a desperate attempt to appease the gods. Another theory posits that the preceding plagues damaged crops, allowing a lethal mold to contaminate grain supplies. In Egyptian society, firstborn sons would have been given the first portion of food, making them the first to suffer from consuming the mold-infested top layers of grain stored in granaries. According to the biblical narrative, after this plague claimed the life of his firstborn son, the Pharaoh granted the Israelites their freedom. However, when he changed his mind and sent his army in pursuit, the Israelites made a miraculous escape when Moses parted the Red Sea. Scholars theorize that the Israelites did not actually cross the present-day Red Sea, but rather a series of shallow lakes known as the Sea of Reeds, which once existed where the Suez Canal is now located. Some believe that a drought might have dried up this area, allowing the Israelites to cross. Another theory suggests that strong winds exceeding 60 miles per hour could have pushed the lake water aside, creating a temporary land bridge that the Israelites could cross. However, this path would have closed by the time the Pharaoh's chariots arrived.